Hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. Today we're talking about video focusing on Fujifilm cameras, particularly the X-T3 and X-T4 cameras. There are 5 ways that you can focus while you're shooting video. Manually, face eye detect, autofocus multi, autofocus area, and touchscreen focus. Manual focus assist. This is a great tool and you want to set it for peak. Go into AF/MF, manual focus assist, set it to focus peak highlight, whatever color you want to use. Now, when you're turning the focus ring, as you can see, the peak red area is indicating what part of the scene is in focus. You see that right there? The second tool is focus check. This one can be very handy depending upon your shooting situation. AF/MF, focus check, and turn it on. Once you have it turned on, if you have the camera set to manual focus mode, as soon as you turn the focus ring on the lens, the camera will zoom in so that you can see much easier what's in focus and what isn't. I'm going to aim the camera at this scene right here, and I'm going to now turn the focus ring. There. See that? It just jumped and boom. I can immediately see very easily what's in focus and what isn't. Then to get out of it, you can simply lightly press the shutter release button. Another way that you can activate it is to press the rear command dial. So here I'm aiming the camera again. I'm pressing the rear command dial. Boom. Just like that. Now on the X-T4, there is a new feature called Focus Check Lock. To enable it, go into your menu, and it's on page 2 at the bottom, Focus Check Lock. Go ahead and turn that on. Here's how this works. If I go to shoot a scene just like this, and I do something to initiate that focus check zoom, like for example, I rotate the focus ring. So watch this right here. See, I'm turning the focus ring there, okay? Now that it's zoomed in, now when I go and press the shutter release, boom, like that, it continues to shoot zoomed in. You see that? It's shooting zoomed in. Right now, I just have this tool pretty much filling up the frame, the silver tool. I'm going to go ahead and stop shooting. And if I play it back, the entire scene appears, not what I zoomed in on, but the full scene. So once again, if you have Focus Check Lock enabled, it allows you to see zoomed in what the scene looks like while you're shooting, except that while you're shooting, you're not capturing the zoomed in scene. You're capturing in the normal, pulled back scene, but you're able to see while you're shooting the zoomed in scene. Now, I hope that makes sense. The final tool for manual video focus is your distance and depth of field indicator. Here's how you turn that on. Go into your little wrench into screen setup. Make sure that large indicators mode is turned off. Then DISP custom setting. Make sure that there is a check in manual focus distance indicator. Now, once you have that set, you'll see on your LCD screen, you see at the bottom here, there is a little scale right there showing you your focus distance. And as you rotate the focus ring, you see that white line changing? That shows you your focus distance, okay? I have mine set to feet, but you can set it to meters as well. And the way you do that is you go into the settings, and focus scale units. It's in the wrench. Just choose either meters or feet. So right here, I'm focused in at exactly 2 feet, but it's not quite in focus. The whiskey bottle is not in focus. That's a problem when the whiskey is not in focus. The whiskey bottle is further than 2 feet away. I need to turn the focus ring until, there we go. It's about 2.5 feet. You see that? Now you'll notice on this indicator at the bottom, there is a blue area. You see that right there? That is your depth of field. That is the range of what's in focus. And as you rotate your aperture ring, have a look at this. You see how it gets smaller? Larger, smaller, larger. That's because, as you know, changing your aperture changes your depth of field. So whatever falls within that blue range will be in focus. Now, something to keep in mind, on the X-T3, you will only see that little indicator, the meters and feet and depth of field scale. You'll only see that if your camera is in M for manual mode, okay? On the X-T3. On the X-T4, you'll see it if the camera is in either M or S. That's AFS or M on here. Then you'll see that. You won't see it in AFC. The next three video focus methods on our list are your autofocus modes. The first is Face Eye Detect. Both the X-T3 and the X-T4 cameras allow for Face Eye Auto Detect while you're shooting video. This type of autofocus is really in its own category because when you have it enabled, it basically overrides all the other settings on the camera and tries to get your face and eye in focus. Face Eye Detect will not work if you have the camera set to manual focus mode. And regardless of whether you set your AF mode to either S or C right here, if you have your camera set to Face Eye Auto Detect, your camera is going to act like you set it to C right here. But you could have it on either one, S or C. To turn on Face Eye Auto Detect, simply go into AF/MF, into Face Eye Detection setting, and simply turn it on. I prefer to use Eye Auto. Now, as I said, if you have the camera in manual mode, you will see it grayed out. You see that? I just turned it to manual and now it's grayed out. Another reason you might see it grayed out is if you have the 16mm lens on here and you have the focus clutch pulled back this way, now it grays out because it's set for manual focus on this type of lens. That's the 16mm prime. If you take it out of that, boom, look at that, see? Now, something to keep in mind, you cannot turn on or off Face Eye Detect while you're actually shooting video. So make sure that you set it beforehand. There's a lot more to learn about Face Eye Auto Detect, and I have a whole video on that subject that you should check out. I'll have a link in the description below. Now, the next two modes are Autofocus Multi and Autofocus Area. And you access these two different autofocus modes through your AF/MF area right here. You'll see Multi and Area. Think of Autofocus Multi as giving complete control over the focus of your scene to the camera. Basically, the camera will try and focus on whatever object is sort of in the center and closest to you. You're basically leaving all of the focus decisions up to the camera. And because of that, you probably don't want to use this mode very often. The next video autofocus mode is called Area. Now, this is definitely something you will want to use most often. When you have it enabled, you basically have a grid of focus points and a square that you can move around to set the area of what you want to be in focus. You can do this either by the joystick on the back or the touchscreen. The touchscreen can be especially handy for this because you can avoid camera shake by, moving the joystick around. Sometimes it can be easier to just very lightly tap the touchscreen. Now, it's helpful to understand that both Autofocus Multi and Autofocus Area on your Fujifilm camera is extremely dependent on what setting that you make in your AFC custom setting area. On the X-T4, it's located in AF/MF. On the X-T3, it's located in the little movie icon in the menu. Either way, go into AFC custom setting and you will see choices for tracking sensitivity and autofocus speed. Tracking sensitivity will obviously set the tracking sensitivity of the subject that you're trying to follow for the camera. Autofocus speed is the speed at which it acquires focus. What I have found, and I think a good starting point for people who are unfamiliar with this, would be to set your tracking sensitivity to 0 and your autofocus speed to +5. Now, for your autofocus options, you have a tool called the Autofocus Range Limiter. It allows you to tell the camera a starting and ending point of distance that your subject will be in, and then the camera will only autofocus within that range. And in theory, this should speed up autofocus and reduce focus hunting. To turn it on, simply go into the AF/MF section until you see Autofocus Range Limiter, and then you can set your preferences from there. I literally just made a video about this the other day, so be sure to check that out if you'd like to learn more about the Autofocus Range Limiter. Now we come to the final focus option for shooting video, touchscreen focus. First, you need to make sure that your touchscreen is turned on when you're shooting video. You need to go to button dial setting, to the last page where it says touchscreen setting and make sure that touchscreen setting is turned on. Once you have it turned on, you'll see a little icon appear on the top right side of the screen. There are 4 separate options for touchscreen: off, shot, area, and AF. Obviously, off means that you turn it off. This disables the touchscreen controls. The second one is called shot. You see that right there? This allows you to touch the screen to begin shooting your movie. And it does 2 things at the same time when you touch the screen. It autofocuses on the area that you've touched, and it starts recording. Once you start recording that way, you'll need to use the shutter button to end the recording. Now, the third one is called area. When you have it in area, whenever you touch the screen, you are moving the focus point around. Do you see that? This is exactly the same thing as if you were using the joystick on the back of the camera to move the focus point around. Now, while you're actually shooting the movie, if you have your camera's focus mode set to AFS, then tapping on the screen moves the square around, but does not change and refocus. All you're doing is you're moving the square focus point to a different location on the screen. In order to focus, you either need to half press the shutter button, right? Or in the case of the X-T4, you can press the AF on button located on the back of the camera. However, if your focus mode is set to AFC for continuous, now, when you relocate the focus square by tapping on the back of the screen, the camera will continuously adjust focus on that point that you tapped on the screen. Once you move it, it will relocate and refocus on that area and then continually track that for its autofocus. And finally, we come to the 4th and last touchscreen option, which is called AF. AF is very similar to using autofocus area without the touchscreen. As soon as you tap the back of the touchscreen, the camera will immediately focus on the area that you've just pressed. Unlike area, however, the autofocus option will force the camera to refocus, regardless of whether your focus mode is in S single or AFC continuous. Basically, just know that if you are in AF and you tap the screen somewhere, the camera is going to focus on that area no matter what. However, there's something else to know about the AF option. If your focus mode is set to AFC and you have not yet pressed the shutter button to begin shooting, then if you press an area of your screen to set autofocus with this AF option, it will change the icon to a green color showing that it's locked. You see that right there? It's locked. While the icon is in the green color, you will be unable to change the focus using the shutter button. Basically, touchscreen AF, while your camera is in AFS focus mode, acts very similar as if you were taking a still photo. You know, half press the shutter button to lock focus, and then keeping your finger pressing the button halfway down while recomposing your shot. When you do finally press down on the shutter button, the camera will begin filming at the original focus point that you had set. My head is spinning from all this focus stuff. So let me give you 2 more helpful tips to get you going and on your way with video focusing. First things first, I find it very handy to do before you start shooting video is disable the electronic viewfinder so that only the LCD is displaying. So when you're out shooting and you move the camera kind of close to you, you don't want the LCD screen switching off. To set your LCD screen to always remain on, simply toggle this button right here. Secondly, here's some settings you should just do if you're new to shooting video on the Fujifilm camera to get you going right now with a minimum of hassle and fuss. First off, put the focus mode in AFC. Secondly, set your autofocus mode to area. Then set your AFC custom setting, tracking sensitivity to 0, and autofocus speed to +5. And finally, if you want to try out the touchscreen instead of using the joystick to pull focus, then turn on your touchscreen by going into the wrench, button dial setting, page 3, touchscreen setting, turn that on. Then set your touchscreen to AF. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I've received a lot of requests for more videos on shooting video, so this was the next one in this series that I'm doing. I have a lot more videos coming, including the continuation of my Capture One series. That's coming. I have lens reviews, product reviews, and more tutorials and videos on the Fujifilm camera system. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Take care.